Since I'm adjusting the parameters for a roughing operation, I have the Roughing tab available. If I were to adjust the parameters for a contouring operation, I would have a Contour tab with a few different options that I'll cover a bit later. There are a lot of options on the Roughing tab. I'm not going to cover all of them, but I'll go over the most common ones. The first area I'd like to focus on is the pocketing section. This pattern drop-down box gives you several options for what your toolpath will look like. When you use Pocket In, the tool starts from the outside and works its way in. Pocket Out starts at the center and works its way to the outside. You can use a zig pattern, which cuts in one direction, and the tool returns to the clearance plane before cutting the next row, or a zigzag pattern where the tool cuts back and forth. The Spiral In and Spiral Out options are just like the Pocket In and Pocket Out options, except the path goes in a circular fashion instead of square. Note that when you use this option, this area here becomes active, which allows you to specify a minimum diameter for the toolpath. In other words, if you set this value to 0, the tool will spiral into a single point where no more material would be removed, and you would be wasting machine time. If I change the value to 100 thousandths, you can see the path is more optimized. Since this is a rectangular pocket, the Spiral In and Spiral Out are obviously not the best choices for this path. The next option available is the Plunge Rough, which is a great way to machine for center cutting end mills, since it is very quick and efficient. As soon as I select the Plunge Rough option, all of these options become available. These allow you to specify the cycle type, such as drilling or pecking, as well as the options for the minimum distance and step distance. Offset roughing allows you to rough out a pocket with an island, where the toolpath follows a pattern toward the part and will not leave a slug. Notice how the toolpath is defined by the geometry of the part in order to accomplish this. There's also a pattern called Volume Mill. I'll cover Volume Mill in a separate lesson, using a different example a bit later on, because it's a little different than the rest of the patterns. For the rest of this lesson, I'd like to use the zigzag pattern to show you some more options. With this method of removing material, I can specify a cut angle which would be based off the longest entity on the feature, and I can specify where on the feature I want the toolpath to start. If I pick top right or bottom right, notice that it may not always coincide with your exact view in 3D space, so it's a good idea to preview to make sure it's going where you want. Next, I'd like to explain these options here.